Hey, we're here at the Food IT event in San Francisco, talking to Jackie Miller from Chobani's Incubator. How you doing, Jackie?
I'm great. Happy to be here.
All right, when I think of Chobani, I think of pretty good yogurt, but you guys are doing some interesting things around helping to tap into innovation and entrepreneurship. Talk a little bit about the incubator.
Yeah, absolutely. So we launched the Chobani Incubator in fall 2016. It's really born out of our founder Hamdi's vision for paying it forward to the next generation of food entrepreneurs. So this year's Chobani's 10-year anniversary. Not that long ago that he was really in the trenches building it up, right? Sleeping in the factory, figuring it out and launching it. So he has a very founder-friendly approach. So we really built this to find emerging food and beverage product companies and that share Chobani's values. So we talk a lot about our DNA, so making food that's delicious, nutritious, natural, and affordable. And we give them a little bit of capital, so we do $25,000, no strings attached, so we're not taking any equity. And most valuably, we bring them in-house to kind of learn from our internal experts and mentors. So everything an emerging brand, every challenge they might face. So whether it's manufacturing, quality, food safety, production, supply chain, sales, marketing, you name it, we cover all of those topics over the course of 4 months. We do the program twice a year. So we've done this a few times now. We have really great success coming out of our alums in terms of growing their distribution, growing their revenue, launching new product lines. And it's all in this mission to bring better food to more people. So we're continuing to do that, expanding that. We really do want to find the kind of innovators that are making the future of food. We think that emerging brands are doing great on the better food part. It's the more people part that's a challenge. How do you scale? How do you navigate this pretty opaque universe between manufacturing, retailers, brokers, distributors, all of that to be successful? So we've done that now for 3 cohorts, 3 classes to date, continue to expand on that. And part of the reason we're here at the Food IT event is we just announced a new food tech residency. So we want to tackle this Better Food for More People challenge, not just on the product side or on the packaged product side, but all along the value chain and the supply chain. As a food maker, we think we can be a bridge between the realities on the ground of making food and some of these incredible innovations and technical solutions to solve some of those challenges.
So if I were to compare the food tech residency versus the Chobani Incubator, oftentimes the incubator may have fairly emerging food brands that may go on store shelves, but some of the folks or companies that are going into the residency might be enabling technologies or people who may ultimately help another brand get to market.
Exactly. I think that the way we approach everything is how can we add the most value. So the type of companies we're looking for are companies that are not necessarily the packaged products and goods, but maybe Chobani could be, Chobani or other food companies, including the hundreds of food startups in our network, could be customers of theirs. They could be, whether it's supply chain, whether it's food safety and traceability, whether it's reducing food waste or even water waste in the factory through probably most likely platforms and tools, or maybe it's hardware, it's kind of IoT solutions as well. If we think that spending time with Chobani's people in our factories or with our farmers, our kind of farmer network, or getting access to a bunch of emerging food brands who can test out what they're building, that's how we can add value. So it could be anything. We're casting a pretty wide net. Part of what we're out, spending time at events like this is to meet and learn from the innovators, see how they're addressing the challenges, and figure out how we could add value.
When I look at the broader packaged food landscape, we've seen a world over the past 10 years where big packaged food providers that have been established are starting to struggle. Chobani, I think, was at the cusp of a new wave of new innovators. Talk a little bit about, you guys aren't necessarily the young guy anymore, but relative to these food companies been around forever, the Barillas of the world, you're fairly new. Is creating your own incubator and using the ethos of your founder to kind of tap into that startup ecosystem and innovation ecosystem, is this your way of staying young and kind of refreshing the company and as you look towards the future?
Absolutely. So, if you think about the blue sky vision of this program, we do want to change the meaning, shift the meaning a little bit of big food, right? We want to make an impact at scale, and we believe that growing and scaling significantly in terms of your distribution, making your food available and accessible and affordable for people is the key. If you have a product that really disrupts the category and offers a better solution, much like Greek yogurt did with a high protein, different version of what was on the market, we think it should scale. But like you said, there's this world of a handful of companies really owning almost all of the food that we eat, and then you have Chobani somewhere in the middle, then you have all of these up-and-comers, right? So our blue sky is we want to find others to do to their categories what we did to ours, have all boats rise with the tide and have those values and that mission of better food become the norm for big food and kind of help those other companies get to that scale. We're still pretty young and close to the ground, as you pointed out. A lot of times incubators and accelerators are pure kind of M&A plays, or they're pure keep us innovative and nimble, but we consider ourselves still pretty close to the ground and scrappy in that way. We are a bigger company, but we have this startup DNA, and it really runs in our blood, right? So that being said, when we bring in all of these, we had 9 food startups in our last class. Over 150 of our internal employees spend time with them. There is something that happens when you know, maybe your full-time job and your day job at Chobani is working on product innovation or working on finance and kind of supply planning. But when you get to work with these kind of up-and-comer, scrappy, emerging brands, it allows you to use your brain a little bit differently than you do all day. So it definitely serves that role of keeping us, not only our internal team, aware of what's going on and thinking scrappy, but we also get an incredible view on emerging trends too. We had nearly 700 companies apply to the last class.
That's pretty good.
So yeah, so we see really what's going on in terms of new trends, new ideas and opportunities, and we get kind of a clear view on that. So that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, I could see if I'm working my job at Chobani or any big food company and you're just doing the same thing every day, if you don't kind of talk to the folks that are new and with these ideas, you wouldn't necessarily feel fresh, you wouldn't be knowing what's going on in the market. Are there any lessons you've learned or kind of anything you could point to from some of these cohorts and maybe specific company interactions where Chobani's changed what they do or they've learned something?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the cool thing about it too. This idea of when we talk about a scrappy mindset, it's not so much. It is something that large companies and large organizations try to cultivate a lot of ways. Is it simply via osmosis and exposure? But there are certain things when we have, from our kind of, let's say, sales planning or trade marketing teams advising a company like Bonza from our first class. They make a chickpea pasta, healthier version of a staple food. They're a team of less than a dozen people at that time, and they get to set out a plan, and our team is looking at their numbers and saying, wow, you're able to do a lot with a little. Even just this mindset of seeing, or marketing, for example, when our shopper marketing team sits down with one of the companies who maybe their annual marketing budget in its entirety is $50,000 compared to the millions a bigger company might spend, you get creative. And I think that there are these conversations that happen where it kind of forces our or guides our team into getting creative and remembering how it was when it's a little bit smaller, more resource constrained, and all of that. So I think that there's some value to that too, of having everyone think creatively, think efficiently, and kind of be creative with their resources.
Like you said, the food tech residency just started. So if someone wanted to apply for that, where can they find information?
Yeah, so we just launched that. Applications are currently open for both programs. They're going to run concurrently. They include visits to our manufacturing facilities upstate and in Idaho, network connections to our agriculture network, our farmer network, and sessions in our office in New York. So applications for both are open. There'll be some joint programming and some specific to food tech at ChobaniIncubator.com. You'll find everything about the applications and the residency.
Hey, well, thanks, Jackie. It's been great.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Great talking to you.